It's May 9th, and ex-Delta Force Captain Roy Pulver wakes up in his apartment. Next set of events has happened 138th times before. He's in bed with a woman named Alice, who screams and flees as a man with a machete enters and swings at Roy's head. Roy acts everything out in a rehearsed fashion, dodging the hitman's exact movements to defend himself and complaining that it's gotten annoying. Outside, a chopper flies up with another assassin who fires a machine gun, killing the first assassin when he is mistaken for Roy. As the second one fires wildly into the apartment, Roy just slumps against the couch and looks at a picture of his ex, Gemma Wells. After the helicopter crashes through the window, Roy jumps onto a truck of sand, which he notes he has missed 22 times before getting it right. He then carjacks a man and evades two more assassins, referring to them as Pam and Esmeralda. Roy drives recklessly and forgets about an oncoming bus, crashing into it and dying after flying through the window. Roy explains that he has died 139 times, reliving the exact same day repeatedly. No matter how many assassins he evades, more keep showing up, and he doesn't know why they want to kill him. Pam has killed him 14 times before he figured out her timing. In addition to the first four, there is a swordswoman named Guan Yin, who always declares her name after she beheads Roy. There is a dwarf nicknamed Kaboom, due to his use of explosives when going after Roy. The German twins, there is even a man he refers to as Roy 2, and a guy named Smiley who impales him with a harpoon and drags him through the streets with his truck. During Attempt 48, Roy tried to reach Gemma at her company, but the call answered by her boss, Colonel Clive Ventor. He tells Roy that Gemma died in an accident, but Roy knows she was killed. He's then shot at and blown up by the twins. In the 140th attempt, he lures Pam and Esmeralda into a warehouse and uses their grenade launcher to blow them up. He then goes to a diner where he orders 2 large bottles of baijiu from his bartender friend Jake. A person named Dave sits beside him, who ends up repeating the same boring story no matter what Roy says, leading Roy to tell stories about the times he died. There is also a woman, Dai Feng, a 12-time world champion swordmaster, who always comes in at the same time. Roy notes that he has never lived past 12:47 p.m. because somehow the assassins always manage to find him. Flashback to May 8th, which feels like months ago to Roy. He visited Gemma at her job, Dino, where she mentions him not being in the picture for their son Joe, who doesn't even know Roy is his father and just thinks of him as a friend of Gemma's. She's working on a large machine that controls time and space, but could destroy the world if used improperly. Ventor's henchman Brett comes out after the two were watching Roy and Gemma through surveillance. Brett takes Roy's resume, and Ventor notes that someone like Roy could figure out what they are planning. Before Roy is made to leave, Gemma tells him to remember Osiris, and she obtains a sample of Roy's hair. Roy later goes to the bar where he meets Alice while talking to his other bartender friend Gabrielle. When Alice goes to the bathroom, he gets a call from Gemma, who tells him that she may have to do something drastic. In present attempt, Roy remembers Osiris when he looks at a gift Gemma sent days before the 9th, a book called The Mythology of Iset and Osiris. In it is a message from Gemma to Roy about living life forward and that time waits for no man. Attempt 143. Roy visits an underground arcade to examine the contents of the book. There he encounters Joe and tails him after observing him receive something from another child earlier. Roy approaches Joe, who confesses to skipping school for a video game tournament and trading cards with the other child. Roy spends time with Joe, and sad by the fact that Gemma is dead, and Joe does not have anyone other than Roy. Upon exiting the arcade, Roy notices that it is now 12:50, indicating that he has lived longer than before. Roy realizes he is being tracked, as they previously could not detect him underground. Unfortunately, the assassins arrive as soon as he exits, but he shields Joe from their bullets. As he perishes, he reveals to Joe that he is his father and expresses a wish for this to be his final death. In his next try, in the restaurant, he tries to extract the tracker from his anus until Dave informs him that it could be in one of his teeth. He realizes Alice placed it there. Roy walks to the toilet and pulls out two before finding the correct one, just moments before being killed. After waking up, he questions Alice. She tells him it was Brett who placed the tracker. He removes the tooth and uses it to lure Pam to an isolated area to kill her with her own gun. He also lures Smiley and kills him with his own harpoon and truck. Roy starts to go after the other assassins like Roy, too, and the twins, but finally he sets his sights on Ventor and Brett. The first few times he is killed by Dino security and Brett himself. In few attempts he manages to get through them till he gets to Guan Yin, who easily dodges gunfire and always decapitates him. When she has him down, Ventor informs him that Gemma's invention is known as the Osiris Spindle and that he intends to use it to rewrite history, reversing horrific events of past. However, Gemma has already begun the process using Roy's DNA, and Ventor is unaware that it is working. After Roy resets, seeks help from Dai Feng, who teaches him swordplay. It helps him improve, and he manages to kill Guan Yin during a duel. He kills Brett, and then goes after Ventor, but Ventor asks him who is there to protect Joe. Roy rushes to the arcade, only to find that Joe has already been killed. Roy tries to rush to the scene, only for the Osiris Spindle to go off and destroy the world. Roy resets again, but spends the next 15 attempts allowing the Machete Man to kill him since he feels that it is hopeless and that everyone will die no matter what. After a while, he breaks out of his depression and decides to spend his final moments with Joe. He goes to the arcade and bonds with him over many subjects and activities, getting to spend time as father and son like they never did. Joe always falls asleep just before the world ends. Attempt 249. Roy and Joe are talking, and Joe mentions getting a voicemail from his mom earlier that day. This means that Gemma is alive when Roy wakes up. He gets to Dino in the next attempt and sees she was killed, but figures out that he has at least 14 minutes from when he wakes up to when Gemma is killed. He now knows what to do. On his next attempt, Roy kills the Machete Man and jumps onto the helicopter, throws the gunman out and forces the pilot to fly to Dino. He eliminates security, and he knows that the whole band of assassins will be at the door. He gets a machine gun and mows them down all at once. He makes his way to the main room and kills Brett and Ventor. Gemma realizes the Osiris Spindle works as she had imagined. Roy tells her about all the times he has died and been using his days to spend time with Joe. He is ready to step through the machine, even though Gemma doesn't know what will happen. He looks at her reassuringly one more time before setting foot in there. Roy wakes up again on May 9th, now having the time loop broken. He smirks, knowing what he must do, but also making sure not to die in the process.
Hey, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel.